Alright, so for this video we're going to be treating some matrix opal. You can see this is Andamooka Matrix Opal. Here's some pieces that I've pre-selected. Some I know treats well, like this for instance treats very well. These pieces I have yet to treat. They got some great color to them. Here's some really excellent pieces, just small pieces that I want to test. I know this stuff treats well as well. And then I have a few other pieces that I'm treating for a fellow vendor. So what you're going to need is a crock pot. You're going to need a measuring device, sugar, and for my opal to keep it separate, it's also good just in general, a mason jar with some holes drilled in the bottom of it so that you can transfer your vessel from pot to pot without worrying about getting acid all over the place or sugar solution. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and place our pieces into the jar. I'm going to put the ones that I think will treat the least in the bottom, not necessarily in no specific order, but I just don't want the reds to get messed up. So see, they're all going in there. Okay. And then these pieces will just sit in there. So now we're going to take equal parts water and sugar. So we have 4 cups of water. I'm going to pour it in there. Now 4 cups of sugar. Pour it in there. Now we're going to stir it until the sugar is completely dissolved. Doesn't matter what you stir it with because at this point there's no volatile or caustic chemicals being used. So just keep stirring until all that sugar is completely dissolved. And then once it is, we can go ahead and place our opal that we're treating in the pot. I used hot water from the sink, that's all you need. Just let it get as hot as possible. And it should almost resemble like a thin syrup. It should be kind of thick. Alright, now we're going to take our matrix opal, set it in our sugar solution. Make sure not to get a bunch of sugar all over your fingers, because then the ants will be going crazy this time of year. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and submerge our opal. Make sure that it's completely covered. If you need to move stuff around, you want it to be completely submerged in liquid. Okay, let me adjust this. If you find that your opal is not completely covered, or if it's just barely poking out, then go ahead and mix some more sugar solution in your measuring container. And then add it to top it off because there's going to be some loss due to evaporation. So now you can see we got good cover. So now we're going to take this and set it in our hot plate. Alright, so we have it hooked up, we got it ready to go. We have it connected to an outlet outside so that once we do the sulfuric portion of the experiment, there is no caustic fumes, and as well as just keeping the ants away. So we're going to leave it here for about a day and a half or so, let it soak in the sugar solution, maybe 2 days, and then we'll transfer everything over into sulfuric acid.
2 days later.
So after 2 days of soaking in the sugar solution, this is what it's looking like. You can see the sugar solution has gotten darker. We're going to let it go another full day to make sure that the sugar solution penetrates completely into our matrix opal. So
3 days later.
Alright, so this is the end of 3 full 24-hour periods. You could see our solution has gotten rather thick. It's like syrup, and it's very dark, meaning it's caramelized completely. So now we'll take this out. We'll pat these dry after we've drained the liquid, and then we'll transfer them into a sulfuric acid pot. So I'm just gonna kind of lightly dab off some of the sugar. Some of it's not gonna come off. It's just, you don't really want to get rid of most of it. You just kind of want to take off the residual. So I went ahead and I patted these dry. You could see a little bit more color showing in there already. This one's showing quite a bit of color. See this one? It's got quite a bit of color visible. Just kind of removed the excess with a paper towel, just dabbed some of the extra molasses or caramel, whatever you want to call it, off of the matrix opal so that, you know, it's not diluting our sulfuric reaction. So I'm just going to set these in the pot and then I'll get these dabbed off. Okay, so you can see I'm just wiping off some of the excess syrup or sugar solution. You can see quite a bit of color showing already. Warm, so shouldn't be much of an issue. It's actually kind of hot, it's burning me a little bit. Okay. Just wipe that off. Oh, that's good enough. It's not a big deal if you have a little bit of paper towel stuck to your container, because as soon as it goes in that sulfuric acid, it'll eat it right up. It looks good already. You can see tons of reds in there, lots of blues. So you can see this was one of the best pieces. This is a piece of gem matrix. Some really nice looking pieces. This stuff I know treats really, really well. This makes some really high quality material. Some of these I'm not so sure of, but this is another slice of that piece that I know treats really, really well. And this stuff should treat pretty well as well, because it I treated a small piece of it already and it gets really black. So we're going to get them all loaded up in our jar with holes in the bottom so that we can set it down in the solution. Alright, so originally I was going to use a jar to put my opals in to keep them separate, but because of volume, I'm going to just use the pot, the crock pot, so that they can all be at the same relative level in height, so it doesn't take a whole bunch of additional sulfuric acid. So we're gonna pour this slow. You'll see it's a kind of thick liquid, and you should see it start to turn black pretty quickly as the opals get covered with solution. Alright, so we're going to top it off with some more sulfuric so that they're completely covered, and that should be enough because we won't have a lot of loss. Make sure the container's sealed tightly. Place this on. So this is the sulfuric acid that we're using. It's roughly 93 to 97% concentrated. I've treated with it before, so I know it works well. Take another quick peek. Just turn the heat on, so you'll see relatively quickly that the solution turns black. I'll check back in just a few moments. And then we'll let it go for 8 to 12 hours. And they'll be done treating. And they'll just need to be neutralized. So it's only been maybe 10-15 minutes, if that, and you can see how black the solution is. So that's what I was talking about. Pretty quick.
The next morning.
So after 12 hours of soaking in heated sulfuric acid, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's really thick and bubbly looking. So we're going to start by pulling out some of the bigger pieces, and then we'll slowly tip this into a water solution to dilute it, and then we'll go ahead and neutralize our pieces. So you can see our matrix opals down inside of there. There's no longer steam coming off of it. We've allowed it to cool down. So if you want to come in, just kind of get the view. That'll happen as you pour it on. We're going to step to the other side and let the steam blow off the other way. We have proper chemical gloves on. We also have glasses on. As you can see, if you go ahead and take a peek in there, there's some really great color visible. So we get some sodium bicarbonate added to this real quick. There we go. That should be good enough, and then we'll add some water to it. So as you can see, that acid's being neutralized. So this is some sodium bicarbonate solution. Sodium bicarbonate, also known as baking soda, is a basic mineral compound. So it will raise the alkalinity of the solution so that the acid becomes neutralized. As you can see, this one's still bubbling a tiny bit. You won't really notice much of a reaction when you pour the baking soda in, because it's almost to the point where it's neutralized. This is no longer bubbling, although it's nasty looking. Obviously, as I pour this in here, it'll bubble a lot because the solution inside here has been neutralized, so it's very basic. And we're adding it to an acidic water, or a dilute sulfuric acid solution. There's still a bunch of sodium bicarbonate in there. Step out into the sun real quick. Really cool looking stuff. It reminds me of a fish. This is one of the pieces I treated for a client, I believe. Yeah, pretty nice looking as well. I'll not the worst treatment. So we'll go ahead and get all this stuff rinsed off thoroughly. Here's a piece that I believed would treat best, and it did not disappoint. It's about as bright as Andamooka Matrix gets. So we'll probably end up treating the rest of it. This was just a small slice of it. Super bright. So we'll get this rinsed off, and then I'll show you the finished result. So this is how the treatment went. This is the least apparent out of all of them, but it's a pin fire, so. And then I would say this is the second best, or second to worst. It didn't take the darkest treatment, but it definitely brought the pattern out. Looks good. Here's one of our top grade pieces that was pretty nice looking before the treatment. The color came out really nice in it. Here's the best of the best. I'm definitely going to be treating the rest of this stuff. That's just insane. And then these three pieces I knew would treat well because I treated a test sample of them before. Really nice, bright, lots of reds. These treated really well. And lots of blues and greens. And then these treated well. I knew these would because I tested another piece in a previous batch. Really long, bright blue patterns. So that's how it went. Thanks for watching.